Virgo, before anything else, before we go one single step into what I receive for you today, I want to take a moment with this community because you have been showing up here with a consistency and a sincerity and a level of genuine openness that does not go unnoticed and does not go unappreciated. The comments you leave, the stories you bring into this space, the quiet courage it takes to sit with a reading like this when you are in the middle of something that is costing you something real. I see all of it. I carry all of it. And if you are finding your way here for the very first time today, welcome. You did not arrive here accidentally. Something in you, something quieter and more knowing than the part of you that is anxious or uncertain or reaching for the phone right now, led you here instead. And to those of you who have been with me through multiple readings, through multiple seasons of your journey, thank you from the place in me that means it most. Now let us go into this energy together. Because, Virgo, what came through for you in this reading arrived with an urgency and a tenderness in equal measure. And I want to make sure every single word of it reaches you before you do anything else. Put the phone down. Not forever. Not as a punishment. Not as a strategy designed to produce a particular response in another person, but because what I am about to tell you is more important than anything you could say in a text message right now. And because the part of you that is reaching for that phone, that is composing sentences in your head and then deleting them and then composing them again, that is trying to find exactly the right combination of words that will close the distance between where things currently stand and where you want them to be, that part of you deserves to hear what I have to say before it does something that is driven by anxiety rather than by the deep, clear, genuinely powerful knowing that is also alive in you right now. Because both things are present in you in this moment. I feel them both clearly, the anxiety and the knowing. And right now, the anxiety is louder. Right now, the anxiety is the one with its hand on the phone. And what I need you to understand, what this entire reading is built around, is that the knowing is the one that needs to be driving right now, not the anxiety. Stay with me, because what I received for you today is going to ask something of you. Something that may feel counterintuitive in the moment, but that I promise you, with everything I have access to in this reading, is the most powerful thing available to you right now. It is going to ask you to be still. Let me speak to where you are right now, Virgo, because I feel it so specifically that I want to name it exactly as it is rather than approximate it. You are in that particular specific, almost unbearable space that exists between the last exchange you had with this person and the next one. And the last exchange, whatever form it took, whatever words were spoken or not spoken, whatever energy moved through it that left things feeling unresolved or unclear or not quite finished, is sitting in you with a weight that has been making the ordinary moments of your day feel difficult to fully inhabit. You keep returning to the conversation or the silence or the moment where something shifted in a way you did not want it to shift. Turning it over, looking at it from different angles, trying to locate the exact place where things went in a direction you did not intend, and whether there is something you could say now, some precisely worded message that would function as a correction, a reset, a way of returning to the version of things that felt better than where things currently stand. I know this space, Virgo. I know exactly what it feels like to be inside of it, and I want to speak to you from inside of it with the kind of honesty that this moment deserves. The message you are thinking of sending is not going to give you what you are actually looking for. Not because it is wrong to reach out, not because communication is the wrong instinct, but because what you are actually looking for cannot be delivered through a text message. What you are actually looking for is certainty, is the specific feeling of knowing that this connection is secure and that this person is still present and still invested and still moving in your direction. And a text message, no matter how perfectly it is worded, cannot manufacture that feeling from the outside. It can only be produced from the inside, from the place in you that already knows the truth of what this connection is, and that does not require a response from another person to remain standing in that truth. That is where I need to take you today, into that place, because it is the most powerful place you have access to right now, and it is the place that is actually going to bring them back. Let me speak to this person's energy, because it is present in this reading in a way that is specific and clear, and that I think is going to shift something in you when you hear it fully. They are not gone, Virgo. I want to say that clearly and without qualification before anything else about them, because I feel that fear living in you right now, and I want to address it directly. The fear that the silence or the distance or the shift in energy means something permanent, that it is evidence of a decision having been made, that the version of this connection that felt alive and real and genuinely important is something that has passed rather than something that is simply in a particular moment of its own unfolding. That fear is not accurate. What I am reading in their energy is not the energy of someone who has moved on or made peace with the absence of you from their daily life. It is the energy of someone who is in their own complicated interior process, someone who is sitting with something, not because they have decided you do not matter, but in many ways, precisely because you do. Here is the thing about people, Virgo. And this is one of the truths that is hardest to hold on to when you are in the middle of the anxiety of not knowing where you stand. The connections that matter most are often the ones that produce the most complicated responses in people, the ones that ask the most of them, the ones that require them to look at themselves honestly in ways that the connections that do not matter do not require. And honest self examination is not a comfortable process. It does not produce easy, immediate, reassuring responses. It produces silence sometimes, distance sometimes. The specific withdrawal of someone who is dealing with something real, rather than the performed engagement of someone who is only ever in the shallow end of their own experience. This person is in the deep end right now, and the depth they are navigating has your name all over it. And I want to be very specific about what is happening inside of them right now, because the energy is showing me something that I think will help you make sense of the silence in a way that reframes it rather than leaving you inside of the most frightening interpretation of it. They are thinking about you with a frequency and an intensity that they are not entirely comfortable with. Not because thinking about you feels bad, but because it feels significant in a way that they are still learning how to hold, because you have gotten past the defenses that usually keep people at a manageable distance from this person. Because something about who you are and how you move and the specific quality of what exists between you has reached a part of them that does not get reached often and that does not quite know what to do with being reached. And in the face of something that feels that real and that significant and that genuinely important, some people go quiet, not because they are pulling away, but because they are pulling inward, trying to get clear, trying to understand what they are feeling and what it means and what they want to do with the knowledge that another person has gotten under their skin in a way that changes things. That is the silence you are experiencing, Virgo, not the silence of someone who has stopped caring, the silence of someone who is caring more than they know how to express right now and who is trying to find their way through that caring towards something that feels stable enough to bring to you. Now I need to speak to the text message again because I want to go deeper than simply telling you not to send it. I want to help you understand what sending it from the energy you are currently in would actually communicate. Not in the words of the message itself, but in the energy beneath the words. The energy that another person, particularly someone who is already in a sensitive and inward turning place, receives alongside the words, even when they cannot consciously name what they are receiving. A message sent from anxiety carries anxiety in it. Even when the words are casual, even when it is something as simple and surface level as a hey or a thinking of you or a how are you, the energy beneath the words is what reaches another person first. And a message that carries the energy of please tell me we are okay, please confirm that I am still important to you, please close the distance because I cannot tolerate it landing in the field of someone who is already overwhelmed by the significance of what they feel does not produce reassurance in that person. It produces pressure. The specific relationship altering pressure of someone who is not yet standing in their own ground, reaching toward another person for stability that has to come from within. And this person who already knows on some level how significant you are and who is already dealing with the weight of that significance does not need more pressure right now. They need something different from you. They need to feel your stillness. Let me explain what I mean by that, because it is the heart of what this reading is trying to give you, and I want to make sure it lands completely. Your stillness, Virgo, the particular quality of grounded, self-possessed, completely centered energy that you carry when you are operating from your deepest and most authentic self, rather than from the reactive surface of your anxiety, is one of the most magnetic things about you. It is part of what drew this person in from the beginning, part of what makes being in your presence feel different from being in most people's presence, part of what they are missing right now in the silence of their own inward turning. When you are still, when you are genuinely rooted in yourself and not reaching toward another person for validation or certainty or the reassurance that you are enough, you broadcast something that people feel in their bodies before they process it in their minds, a quality of solidity, of theirs-ness, of someone who occupies their own life so fully and so authentically that being near them feels like ground under your feet. That is what this person needs to feel from you right now, not a text message, not more words in an already complicated space, but the energetic signal of you standing fully in yourself, not diminished by the uncertainty of where things stand, not contracted by the anxiety of not knowing, but present and grounded and complete in a way that does not require their response to remain intact. That signal reaches them without a single word being sent, and it is the most powerful thing you can offer this connection right now. Does this land, Virgo? Does some part of you recognize the difference between the version of yourself that is reaching for the phone right now and the version of yourself that knows quietly and clearly and without needing it confirmed that you are enough and that what is real between you and this person is not dissolving in the silence? Let me know in the comments. Tell me where you are with this. Tell me what you are feeling as you sit with what I am saying, because I want to hear from you and I want you to know that whatever you are carrying right now is safe to put down in this space. Let me speak to what happens when you choose stillness over the message, because I want to give you a concrete, energetically specific picture of the shift that this choice produces, not as a manipulation, not as a technique designed to engineer a particular response, but as the natural, inevitable consequence of a person choosing to stand in their own power rather than leaning on another person to hold them up. When you go still, when you genuinely settle into yourself and release the urgent, anxious reaching toward this person, and simply inhabit your own life with the full presence and the genuine engagement that you are capable of when you are not preoccupied with where things stand in another person's inner world. Something happens in the energetic space between you. The dynamic shifts, not dramatically, not immediately in every case, but it shifts in the way that things always shift when one person in a connection stops pulling and simply becomes, when the energy of need and urgency and please come back is replaced by the energy of I am here fully in my own life, and this life is worth showing up for regardless of what you decide. This person will feel that shift, even without a message, even across whatever physical or emotional distance currently exists between you. They will feel it the way you feel a change in air pressure before a storm. Not consciously, but in their body, in the specific, inexplicable awareness that something has changed in the energy of someone who matters to them. And that awareness will move them in a direction that no text message, however perfectly worded, could have produced. It will move them toward you. I want to speak to the timeline of this because I feel some of you need to hear this part specifically, and I want to be as honest and as clear as I can be about what I am reading. This is not going to happen in the next 5 minutes. I need to say that plainly because I feel the urgency in your energy, and I do not want to feed it with the suggestion that stillness is a quick fix or an instant solution. Choosing your own ground is not a strategy with a guaranteed timeline. It is a practice, a sometimes difficult, sometimes uncomfortable, genuinely transformative practice of returning to yourself again and again every time the anxiety pulls you away from your own center and toward the phone and toward the reaching that feels like it is doing something, but that is actually moving energy in the wrong direction. What I can tell you about the timeline is this: the shift has already begun. The energetic movement that is going to bring this person back toward you is already in motion. Not because of anything you are about to do, but because of who you already are and what already exists between you and this person and this specific undeniable gravity of a genuine connection that has not finished doing what it came into your life to do. Your job right now is simply to not interrupt that motion with the anxiety of someone who cannot trust the process long enough to let it complete itself. Let me speak to your worth for a moment, Virgo. Because underneath the impulse to send the message, underneath the anxiety and the reaching and the need to close the distance, I feel something that is asking to be addressed directly. Something that has been running quietly beneath the surface of all of it. A question, one that you have not been asking out loud, but that has been shaping everything. The question of whether you are enough, whether what you bring to this connection is sufficient to hold it, whether who you are in the full, complicated, sometimes difficult, always extraordinary reality of what you actually are is the kind of thing that another person will choose to remain in the presence of when the choosing gets hard. I want to answer that question now, not with reassurance designed to make you feel better in this moment, with the truth of what I am reading in your energy and in the energy of this connection. You are more than enough, Virgo. Not in the generic, applicable to everyone way, in the specific, particular, this person and this connection way. What you bring to this, the depth, the loyalty, the specific quality of genuine presence that you offer when you offer yourself fully, is not something that is easily walked away from. It is not something that a person encounters and then simply sets down without consequence. It takes root. It changes the internal landscape of the person who has experienced it in a way that does not reverse when the connection hits a complicated moment. This person knows what you are. Even in the silence, even in the distance of whatever is happening right now, they know. And that knowing is working on them in ways that are going to become visible to you very soon. Have you been in a place where you have been doubting yourself in this connection, where the uncertainty of where things stand has been bleeding into the way you see yourself, making you question whether you did something wrong, or whether there is something about you that is insufficient, or whether you should have handled something differently in order to produce a different outcome? I want to hear from you. Drop something in the comments. Tell me what has been living in you. Tell me what this reading is touching, because you deserve to have it witnessed, and this space is here to do exactly that. As we come toward the close of this reading, I want to give you something practical to do with the energy of what you have been receiving, because I know that Virgo energy, and I know that telling you to simply be still without giving you something to direct your considerable focus and capability toward is not going to land as well as giving you a genuine practice to move into. Here is what I want you to do instead of sending the message. Come back to yourself specifically, deliberately, not as a spiritual bypass of what you are feeling, but as a genuine act of self-return. Go back to the things that were alive in you before this connection became the primary object of your attention. The interests, the projects, the relationships, the parts of your daily life that carry their own meaning independent of what is happening or not happening with this person. Not to distract yourself from what you are feeling, but to remember that you are someone who exists fully and richly and with genuine vitality outside of this connection. That your life has texture and depth and real beauty in it that has nothing to do with where this person currently stands. Because when you remember that, when you actually feel it in your body rather than simply thinking it as a concept, the energy you carry changes. And the energy you carry is what this person feels, is what draws them back, is what makes the gravity of you something they cannot stay away from indefinitely, no matter how complicated the territory between you has become. Be the version of yourself that existed before the anxiety took over, the full, self possessed, genuinely alive version. Not as a performance, as a return to what is actually true about who you are. And then let the connection do what genuine connections do when they are left to move at their own pace without being forced or rushed or anxiously managed. Let it breathe. Let the space between you serve the purpose that space sometimes needs to serve in a real connection. Let this person complete the interior process they are in the middle of without the interruption of a message that will arrive before they are ready to receive it properly. Let the knowing that lives in you, the quiet, clear, steady knowing that what is real between you is not finished, be enough to stand on while the next movement in this connection finds its way to the surface. It is finding its way, Virgo. Right now, in the silence and in the distance, and in all the space that the absence of a text message is creating for something more significant to move into, they are coming back. Not because you chased them, because you chose yourself, because you stood in your own ground with the full, grounded, quietly extraordinary dignity of someone who knows their worth and who does not require another person's response to remain standing in it. That is what brings them back. Not words, not perfectly constructed messages, not the anxious reaching of someone who cannot tolerate the uncertainty, the stillness, the self-possession, the unspoken, energetically undeniable signal of someone who is complete within themselves and who is waiting not from need, but from the quiet, a grounded confidence of someone who knows that what is real always finds its way home. Put the phone down, Virgo, and let them come to you. They will